Alright everyone, and so I've seen the Final Destination Bloodlines, and we are finally back with this franchise as it is returned for the first time in over a decade, and I gotta say, they really outdid themselves, and I think that this was the most unique and a different entry out of all the others, especially for how the formula is being used, especially with our main characters, for how they are handled, and you know, I thought this was a very different and stand out for the way that like Death Plan is used for how it wants to approach the audience. I gotta say, for what I witnessed, this was the most gruesome and I think the best entry yet. And so this will be my full non-spoiler review. We'll go over everything, my impressions, my thoughts, and especially for what I have to say right here. And so if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so it's on any future videos, including movie reviews and much more. But now let's hop right into it. And now, when it comes to a horror franchise like Final Destination, like this is a franchise that has traumatized people, especially from the premonition to death's pattern for how it targets the survivors that were meant to die in like a certain order, especially with each entry for how it wants to elevate itself and outdo the others, especially with the creative and unique kills. But even ever since like the last entry, and we have returned to this franchise for the first time in 14 years, and when it comes to Final Destination Bloodlines, I truly feel like this was the most different, and it was the standout entry, especially for how the formula is being used, for how it fits into the story, and especially from the story standpoint, and especially with the tone and how scary it feels, because even for how they wanted to approach that pattern for how it works, it truly felt like it just feels real, because especially with the premise of this movie with Iris, that is the grandmother of this family that decades ago, she prevented death and saved a lot of lives that were not meant to be saved, and it is now targeting her family, like they are the main target for death, because especially with Stephanie, who is the main lead, who is like having these same nightmares of her grandmother, and now she wants to come to her because Iris, that she is the key for breaking the cycle of death before like it latches onto this family to stop this curse, but before it is too late. And also, I just really liked how like everything was handled, because especially like it really wanted to go back to the roots of the franchise for what we truly know about it. How like Stephanie was handled as the main character, like just for what purpose that she serves in this entry. It is truly very cool, and even though to letting her know that hey, this family is in danger because of Death's curse, and even for how they can stop it, and also just with the creative kills, and just with the set pieces, and with the way that the practical effects are used in this entry, it is very cool, and sometimes very gnarly, very gruesome, and it is truly very creative, like outside of the box thinking. Iris alone, for the way that like her premonition, and just with the way that like she tries to like warn this family for how it can help, like it truly sets itself in the right direction with the way that the family is involved and trying to put the puzzles together, especially for who's next on Death's list, and trying to solve it together. But one thing I really want to touch upon is for how this movie really gets to cement itself for how we're supposed to know about grandmother alone, for what kind of story that she has, that I totally like places her terror on this family for how they even look at her specifically. And that's the thing that it really wants to be more explored, for how it got to this point for they look at her as an insane, psychotic woman. And that's what I really like about this franchise, is that it tries to like, it wanted really to outdo itself, especially from the kills of how that person is going to die. And it tries to set itself up in like a way for us, the viewers, to like really get like grossed out. I really like this either way, and just with the characters and their development for how they are scared that death is coming from, and it just felt like a different, unique story point to me. On top of that, after the last movie, and as making to a franchise like this for the first time in over a decade, it really brings back everything that we love about it, and that is the sense of trauma, terror, and death that occurs. It makes me want to care about these characters, especially for what they are going through, and having having a sense of fear who is next in like Death's pattern, especially what kind of like sense of the story point that is used, especially for how they want to approach the characters, especially in the most unique ways. They truly felt like jaw-dropping, and just with the use of the practical and just with the way that like, it is used towards the audience and to make us really feel grossed out, it is truly so epic. And even with Iris, who is the center of the whole story, and how the family is endangered because of it, is such an amazing movie, and I truly think it is the best entry yet that this franchise has delivered. And also with Tony Todd, I mean, R.I.P. a legend, and the way that they made his final appearance so special, especially as it definitely left a mark for how he cements himself as the legend in this franchise, especially for how his character was used, because even though ever since we know him from the earlier entries, for how they use his last on-screen appearance before he passed away, it was truly something special. And so especially after like the last line that he uses, I won't spoil what it is, but it truly makes you think about life differently. I mean, that's all I'll say, but man, I mean, it really felt good to have Tony Todd back one last time. And also, just with the movie itself, in general, it kept me on the edge of my seat. It just truly made me feel hooked, and it really kept the plot and the story engaging, because especially from like the main characters, like especially for how they were going to die, it really felt unexpected and like out of the gate, and just for how everything is used, because even though they try to think which death is going to outdo this death, and especially from like with the kills alone, it truly wants to make the audience so scared and feel so much terror, because this is everything that we love about this franchise. And also, I want to point out, like, there were a bit of callbacks to the earlier entries. I mean, oh man, because even though that this movie is different, but it also makes certain callbacks from the original movies, and that's how it really wants to remind the audience, as to saying that like, hey, like, they are back with the franchise, and they want to remind us why we love it so much. Even though I have a minor issue with it, and that is things were a bit rushed, but it truly just like could be engaged, especially for what was happening. And I truly recommend this to anyone who is a fan of Final Destination or the horror genre in general to give this movie a chance. I think that this is a real win for the franchise, because even though as we look at this franchise alone, even though I think the fourth movie is definitely the weakest one to me, but especially as this is a return to form for what this franchise is really about, and that is for how to use the formula, for how Death's pattern is used, for how it's going to target these survivors, especially with this family alone. Iris as a character was used. I thought like she was used good, but I truly felt like Stephanie was the real standout character for what she has to handle, especially put all the clues and all the pieces together. It truly felt like a really fresh standout entry in my mind. It truly felt just a different kind of movie. I think Final Destination Bloodlines is a true winner for this franchise as well. So yeah, I gotta say, with my final thoughts, I truly give this a fresh 9 out of 10. There is much to love about this movie, especially as a horror fan myself, and I truly love it when I feel like grossed out, especially from the kills and the practical effects, and because especially for what they pull off behind the scenes, and for how it is presented, and it doesn't even feel fake. It truly feels like totally real for how the kills are meant to be different out of all the others. And I think, oh man, I feel like that this one was truly out of the box thinking as well. So yeah, I mean, I truly recommend it, and I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did as well. But let's get through it for this video. Just let me know in the comments below, and what your thoughts on Final Destination Bloodlines, if you've seen it or if you plan on seeing it, and also give me a rating between 1 out of 10. I'm curious to hear your opinion in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn notifications for future videos. You'll also follow all my social medias all linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.